afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Kerfuffle panel show here. And I am delighted. We are the four horsemen at the moment. We are missing the horseman, but we'll come back to that in a second. We have Simon Gates of Homesearch. We have Marcus. We have Chris. Who are we missing? We're missing a Mike Nettleton. Mike, the pubs aren't open. I know that's not the case. Stop doing prop tech and being an agent, and come. I'm not gonna be Paxman, Mike. Come on the show. You're still welcome here. Anyway, if anyone can find him, bring him on. Gents, I am delighted to have you guys on. It's really kind of you to join us and to give your experience around the Homesearch product. We are delighted to see a new face here from the Homesearch itself. It is beholden on me because Sam did give me a little bit of a heads up.
I know.
There's no expense spared with the props here. I believe, Simon, it's your first year anniversary at Homesearch.
It is, yeah. 1 year.
He did tell me to sing you happy birthday, but literally the internet would crash if I tried doing that. So all I will say is, obviously, you might have expected your year to have gone a little bit differently, but then Sam promising you'll get to go out and meet all these people. It'll be fantastic.
literally that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so I joined a year ago, and I spent a week at the office in London.
Yeah, and that was it.
And then the world went Pete Tong. And then I've been working from my spare bedroom for the last 11 and a half months. And I actually remember, this is going to sound random and off topic, but I was showing an English guy round a house in late 2019. Yeah, it must be late 2019. And he said, I'm going to pull out of this house, 750, 800 grand house. I said, I'm probably going to pull out because I'm not too sure I'm going to be able to go back working in London with this coronavirus. I went, what are you on about? It's going to blow over.
You call that right then. Simon, here's a clue, right? Just say what are both eventualities, and what we do is we cut and edit it, so you're always right down the line. It's fantastic. It's an old Chris Watkins trick, that. But anyway,
yeah.
We'll come back to him. Not that I'm obsessed with Chris or anything. So, Marcus, can you introduce yourself and just give us a bit of background on the business, where you are, kind of size and scope of the business, and then we'll get your experiences with the wonderful Homesearch.
Absolutely, sounds good. So I'm Marcus. I run Fine Homes Property. I'm based just between Leighton Buzzard and Milton Keynes in a small village called Great Brickhill.
Okay. I know it particularly well. Actually, isn't it true to say that Leighton Buzzard, Milton Keynes, that's essentially the Silicon Valley of estate agency and property? It certainly was. You used to have Connells are still down there, aren't they? You got Rightmove. I mean, that's as much as I know, but it sounds a lot.
Yeah, no, Rightmove at Caldecott and Connell's head office, everything. Connell's is in.
And you guys there as to make up that holy trinity.
Pretty much, exactly. Love it.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you for the intro. We'll come back and find out a bit more in a minute. And Chris, I always like this. Helpfully, look at that. Puts the name up there as well. If only the missus could do that, I wouldn't forget a name so often. But anyway,
I need to remember who I work for.
Yeah. Okay. And your good self, Coast and Country.
Coast and Country. So yes, we've had a bit of a journey, and kind of mirrors actually a little bit with Simon's. With the Homesearch journey that I started, which I know we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, we were 6 months old. We're a new business down on the south coast near Worthing. Yeah, sunny Worthing, as everyone loves to call it. And yeah, we've been with Homesearch pretty much from. Well, about a month after we started, we've been with Homesearch basically. So I'm a massive fan, loads to talk about. Simon's actually personally been a big help to me as an individual. So yeah, loving it.
By the way, that's Simon Gates, not Simon Whale, who's been a big help.
That's all I was hearing.
I'm sure.
Here he is. Wait a minute. Look at that perfect timing there. All right. Listen, you see, this is because you're setting the supplier prop tech world alight with your other products as well. But you okay?
Very well, mate. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. Sorry I'm late. Good to meet you, Chris. Good to see you, Marcus. Sorry I'm late.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Right. So I hope you've enjoyed the webinar today. Thanks for all for joining us. Okay, Mike, no worries at all. We were literally just doing the intro. So would you just give us, obviously we all know you, but just for those that don't, give us a bit of background about yourself and the business that you run.
Hi, yeah, great to see you all. Sorry, mate. Like I say, Michael Nettleton, chairman of Knock Dyton Estate Agents, 6-branch agency based up in Shropshire, with quite a decent sized lettings book as well. Recently onboarded with the good people at Homesearch, and we're thoroughly enjoying ourselves, and we're on the journey. So,
So what we've got here is we've got a really cross section, haven't we? We've got people who have just started off and then and started off with essentially from day one almost with Homesearch. Somebody who's using it a while, and then somebody who's just been onboarded as well recently. And I think what's interesting, we'll come back to that later on, Mike, is clearly Knock Dyton covers a massive geographical area, really, doesn't it? I seem to remember. I think my friend David Mintz talking to you on one of the shows, the PopTech one, and you were making the point to drive from two of the furthest offices. It's a good hour and a half, isn't it, in a car?
Yeah. It's a day to do the offices and spend a small amount of time, of a visit. It's a day to do the rounds, really. So, Zoom and everything's been fantastic.
So what's interesting there, and I'm sure we will come on to this more, is that, that's covering a lot of geographical area. There's a lot of area to, a lot of land to know about and everything else there. And so I'm guessing that was one of the big attractions of obviously Homesearch, but we'll come on to that. So if we can start with you, Chris, now, just because it's all been jumbled up and we're back at the top here. So I'm a simplistic man. We'll go from the top down there. Could you just give us an idea of why you chose them? You mentioned obviously how long you've been with them, but give us an idea of what was the because it does a number of different things. What was it that really caught your eye?
I think the first thing that stood out massively to me, and this was before I even started Coast and Country, was, as cheesy as it sounds, the passion from everyone, like Sam, Giles, and obviously then meeting Simon. It was just very different to any other kind of company I dealt with before. They genuinely wanted to help. They genuinely loved what they were doing. And I know, again, it sounds really cheesy, but that's what struck it with me, because I'm quite passionate about what I do. And I just felt like kind of our what's the word? Principles aligned. And I was speaking to Simon before we started Coast and Country from a previous employer that I worked for, and I was I could see it grow. And I remember it used to be in the lockdowns, actually, when Sam and Giles would put on I don't know if anyone else was on there, but the kind of their webinars of how Homesearch was growing and what they were implementing. And I just found it kind of exciting, and I found myself getting hooked to sort of see what they were putting in place. And I just think it's going to be one of the future companies of the way property works in this country now. So
it certainly feels like we're not just blowing smoke because they're here, but it feels like they're going to become one of those core suppliers, doesn't it? If they're not already, one of those kind of essentials. If you were to open up a business tomorrow, you'd have ticks in the box, wouldn't you? And Homesearch feels like it's there. I think what resonates with what you're telling me there as well is, look, sometimes we have to deal with companies that we don't particularly, believe in their, let's say their morals or but it's lovely when you can find a business that you're excited by the product and the solution, and the people there get you going as well, don't they? It
was massive, and their passion comes through in everything they do. So yeah, definitely love that.
Genuinely, there's a lot of thought leadership going on there, wasn't it? Which, and I don't mean that in a negative way either. Actually, some thought leadership, you just sort of roll your eyes, but actually it's all well thought out and with a common goal. I think you always feel like these are one of the providers that are on your side. I repeat it, so I will apologise endlessly, but we have plenty of suppliers to the business. We don't have too many genuine partners, and I think obviously that sounds like you guys are firmly in that latter case there.
Yeah, massive. We couldn't wait to sign up with them when we started up, so it was great.
Don't go too effusive with praise, because the price will start getting reflected there. We know.
Well, Simon did say he's going to pay me
something. Marcus, yourself, what was it caught your eye? What was the bit that you thought, actually, I need that in the business?
Yeah, so we've started about a year ago. So it was literally as the lockdown started, so it was around March time. It was the first demo that we had, was with Dan, and it was just personally at that point, obviously there were all the big plans, everything like that. There was lots of scope, and it sounded very exciting. But for me, I didn't actually think the letters would be the biggest focus, but I loved the idea of the letter feature. But for me, the actual thing that thought I've got to get involved in this was just because of the ease and just how easy it makes life with in terms of getting information. Just it was going through on a map search and just being able to pick any address and just literally get all of the information on sort of prices on average streets in terms of the net value, and then all the clever things that you can use that data for. And just information is power, isn't it, at the end of the day?
It absolutely is. And it's that thing about standing out from the crowd as well, isn't it? Until it becomes ubiquitous and everything else, and that's the different reason to have something, is, you know, when your competitors are going out there with the portal's best price guide and everything else, it's, well, where's the differentiation there? Is you've got so much more data as well, haven't you, that you can genuinely catch that potential vendor's attention.
Exactly. I just felt that you'd be armed with that. So the fact, and I think we even on the demo, we did a couple of sort of draft letter drops on some specific roads for a couple of buyers on what they wanted. And they said, we want to be on this road. So Dan went through it and said, right, we'll do a couple of practice ones. And it was a no brainer. So it went through it. It was, as sort of Chris said, the energy was great. The passion was there. I just felt like he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. That's not, by the way, you don't always have to buy products of people who know what they're talking about. My career has been a demonstration of that. I like what you say though as well, talking about that combination of the digital and the analog, if you like, in terms of it becomes really powerful, doesn't it? That blend of being able to portray information, but do that in a very tangible sense. You know, that what do they call it? Omni level, don't they? Or omni level marketing and everything else. That those two working hand in glove are particularly powerful.
It helps you tell a story. That's what it's all about for me.
Storytelling is it, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks, Marcus and Mike. So you know your way around prop tech, and obviously, I'm not saying you've been around. That's outrageous. But so what was it? Obviously, you saw it relatively recently, and probably when it obviously by definition, Homesearch is most advanced in terms of functionality. What was it really that appealed to you? And as a multifaceted, multi-branch organisation, did other people in the business see other angles to it as well, or did you all sort of focus in on one thing?
It was predominantly driven by me in the first instance. I think, you know, as far as like Sam and Simon and everybody have done a first-class job from a PR point of view and being accessible to people in the industry. And Simon and I have had quite a few kind of conversations off camera where it's very evident that Simon has got a very good understanding of agency. So when I've kind of challenged the dogma on certain things, Simon's gone, yeah, funny enough, I agree with you, because when I was an agent, that's what I did as well, kind of thing. And it was quite refreshing, really, to know that, you know, I felt, you know, we were quite aligned in terms of what we actually wanted out of things.
There was none of that ivory tower stuff that you sometimes get.
No, Simon wasn't sat there with his notepad going, oh, that's a good idea, I'll write that down. That's really interesting. Thank you for that. It was like, no, actually, I've lived it and I've done it.
What was that,
Mike? but you know, he's actually lived it and he's actually done it. And he's actually got an opinion in terms of how we should do it as well. So one of the things I really like about what Sam says in terms of positioning Homesearch as the third browser. And that's a really important point, because we as agents, the first thing that happens when you get busy is anything that ain't, you know, nailed down, mission critical, it's going. So as a chairman and as someone who's, you know, whenever I have a good idea about bringing something into the business, I've only got so many shots a year that I can take before people start rolling their eyes. So here's another one. Game changer. Yeah, we get an account manager. It's like, oh no. And anyway, I digress. When we actually onboarded it and Simon did the training with people, like I say, he's talking to agents so that they can spot whether it's, you know, a load of rubbish or not. So the onboarding has been very straightforward and the buy-in has been good, which makes it a lot easier, because next time I have a get rich quick scheme about what we're going to use, they're going to go, oh, fair enough, well, Homesearch was good, so, you know, we'll give you the benefit on this one. So
It's an important point, though, isn't it, as well? Because a lot of things we can, and they can be delivered for the best of intentions from a board level, from a boss level. But actually, they do have 1,000,001 other jobs and priorities and KPIs. And so if you don't get that buy-in from the team, quite often they expect a bit of buyer's remorse in the supplier sense happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've taken on board some great tech in the last years, and then you ask the staff, and they're like, oh, "Mate, no, I'm just haven't used it." And the invoice comes in at the end of the month, and everybody loses ultimately because you have to cancel it. So I'm really, really keen that we have a very good relationship with the guys and girls at Homesearch, and there is that kind of two-way communication, because it is a tool that can make you look great. Actually, it really can.
That's what it's about, isn't it? And before we go on to the next question, just to ask the three of you, it's fantastic, and I love these sessions when you hear straight from I should call it straight from the horse's mouth, but we might not get anyone to turn up anymore. But sometimes I think we forget, actually, as suppliers, that it's vital we get you guys talking about it. But actually, the one that's most important is what are your clients saying about it? And so what does the public say when you're presenting them with these reports and this information? Do they notice it, do you think, or do they remark on it? Anyone can answer that?
I can say they have with us for sure. When we do a valuation, or before we even do the valuation, send out what we call like a pre-valuation report, which is something, again, Simon gave the tip on doing. And the fact that you can see how many times they're clicking on it, how much they're looking at it, it shows how engaged they are with it already. And it gives you a real easy talking point to start off with. And you ask them what they thought. They were like, we never realized you could get that information, let alone present it like that. So I think people are surprised with how much information is actually at the fingertips of a lot of people, but in a good way. People are really impressed.
Yeah, Perry, you concur with that as well?
I definitely do concur. But I feel that
I have a concurring face, if I'm honest.
I think it goes a step further than that, because being honest, I mean, I've only just started really focusing on the reports a little bit more, and I'll print them off and I'll drop them through on the day of booking an evaluation now.
Yeah.
In an envelope with a card, and usually it's sat there when you go around to do your appraisal.
Yeah.
For me, I think that the report is such a drop in the ocean on Homesearch's capacity. For me, the stats are more the ahead, and more for me, Homesearch, the letters side of things. So you could say that has it really resonated with potential clients? I think when you go around to evaluation and they've got 3 or 4 letters there, that's the other side of the coin. So they don't actually know it's Homesearch.
Yeah.
But
it's about building your brand, and you ultimately know where that's come from, don't you? So that's great. Yeah,
we would know it is, exactly. Yeah.
Simon, I mean, this must be music to your ears, isn't it? Is this what and what's interesting is there's some commonality, but actually that a lot of them are picking up on different elements that are more important to them as well.
It is music to my ears, although I do have to say my heart rate dropped a little bit when Marcus's I concur, and then his face, I was like, oh my God, what is he going to say? But yes, it was a positive one. It was. So he had me going for a second. No, it's multifaceted, and it's interesting to hear what Chris has said, what Marcus has said, and then what Marcus said, that there are so many different elements to it where you can get great responses. So it might be one agent sending out direct mail, another might be using the report functionality, or another agent might just use it where actually it's just stats to go in their head. So for example, for me as an agent, having used it, what I noticed massively, and what I used in 2019 is nothing like what's available now. I had it as a conversation tool on appraisals. So I'd have those stats in my head. So it might be, Simon, tell me why more than 50% of people on your street have not moved in the last quarter of a century. What's so amazing about it? And they'd be like, how the hell do you know that?
Brilliant, guys. Look, I think that's absolutely fantastic, useful information. I think it's really, really great. You can take time out. For me, it's always a big one as well, because you'll be amazed. Some suppliers really struggle to get even just a few people on here to talk effusively about it. So it really does matter I'm sure the guys, Sam and Simon, they'll say thank you in their own time. But from our point of view, it's great for you to give this feedback to the rest of the industry. Everyone encourage you to get on a call with Simon. It sounds like he's got a lot wrapped up in that head to be able to extol to people. Thank you, and have a great week.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Cheers.